So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world. And welcome to another video of the Shield Dude on a Couch. And people, it's that time of the year where we talk about good albums, bad albums, 45 rap. So, starting this now with the albums of the year, I'm having my top 10 worst albums of the year for me. And I have three dishonorable mentions. So, yes, this year there was a ton of great albums, but there's also was a ton of not so great albums. So we're here to talk about it. And obviously, if I missed some bad albums, leave them in the comments. And if I didn't hear them, I may do them next year for the Is It That Bad episode. So if I missed something this year that was very bad that I haven't heard, please, Couchers, comment down below so I can check it out and do a video on it. So without further ado, let's start with the dishonorable mentions. So first up, I have uh, Imagine Dragons with Loom. I covered this for Is It That Bad? And a lot of you people didn't give a shit. I like covered it and I felt like people were asking for it. And then I'm like, no, there wasn't a lot of views for this album. So why do I have it as a dishonorable mention and not in the top 10? Because I don't even think that this album can be categorized as rock. This is like pop rock with rap. When you hear songs like Take Me to the Beach, uh, Eyes Closed, featuring J Balvin, it's just so atrocious. And sometimes I don't know if the lead singer is singing here. There wasn't any. I'm like, where are the guitars on this record? I don't hear them. So this is an atrocious record. But since I don't think of it as rock, that's why I don't have it in the top 10. But nonetheless, it is pretty bad. So yeah, Imagine Dragons, Loom, and dishonorable mention. So the second dishonorable mention that I have for you is actually an album that my girlfriend loves, and it's one of her favorites of the year. I Still Love You, Baby, but I don't love this record. So I'm talking about the band Coldplay and their latest album, Moon Music, which we also covered on the Is It That Bad series. And this album, it started promising for me in some tracks, but then it's just got so boring and generic. Like the song "We Pray," I can't stand that song. I think it's just bad. And then there's the songs that sound like what Chili said on his video, like drone music that shows you properties that you want to buy. So that is Coldplay. Also not in my top 10 because I also don't consider this like a rock album per se. It's more like pop as well. So that's why it's a dishonorable mention and not in the top. So my third dishonorable mention is actually an EP, but it was so atrocious that I had to include it. And if it wasn't an EP, it would be higher on the list. And it's Motley Crue with Cancel. So this EP, we actually covered it. And it's got two newer tracks and an awful cover of Fight for Your Rights to Party. This is just embarrassing, Motley Crue. It's like, why can't you stay retired? They're tarnishing any like reputation that they have. This is just atrocious work. Uh, if you're a Motley Crue fan and you think this is good, what is wrong with you? Like this is just shameful. Like it's just like I don't know. It's like they refuse to go away, and I don't know why they insist on releasing these bland, generic songs. And when you hear us cover of "Fight for Your Rights to Party," and like, is this like really old men talking about like partying like they're young? It's laughable at best. So there you have the three dishonorable mentions. So now we're going to our top 10 bad albums of the year. So starting up with number 10 is, the singer is legendary. but this album, sadly for me, is not. So it's Bruce Dickinson with the Mandrake Project, which I did a review of this. And this album, I just think it's very cheesy. The only song that I liked was the Ragnarok song. But besides that track, the rest of the album is pure, it's just bad to me. It's not his best work. I saw some people giving it praise. I saw some people saying it was eh. So it got mixed reviews. But to me, Afterglow of Ragnarok was the only song that I enjoyed. Rain on the Grapes, cheesy, Resurrection Man. And the last tracks, Sonata, Shadow of the Gods, sounded like Aladdin Disney music to me. So I'm sorry, Bruce Dickinson, you are a legendary singer, but this album, it's so bad. So that's why I have it as my number 10. So coming up at number 9, it's probably one of the most overhyped records to come out this year. Very divisive. Some people loved it, some people hated it, but for me, I went in the ladder. So it's an album that I covered recently. So it's Linkin Park with From Zero. So I think I said everything that I think that it's wrong with this record, but let's just recap. Mike Shinoda's rapping, atrocious. Emily Armstrong, she's not a bad vocalist, but it also doesn't feel like Linkin Park. This album feels like it's very run of the mill. Yes, it's better than the last album that they put out, but not by much. I don't see the overhype on this record. I really think it's atrociously bad. And that's why I have it at my number 9, Linkin Park From Zero. Really not a fan. I think it's the most overhyped record of the year, hands down. And I didn't mention any tracks because I just talked about the tracks, Two Face, that Over Each Other. Just, I don't know. I didn't like any track from that record. So that's why it's my number 9. So coming in at number 8, it's Scott Stapp with his latest solo album, Higher Power. And it's a very generic record. Scott Stapp, I'm not, he gets a lot of crap for his singing styles, that he copied a lot of Eddie Vedder. But, I actually am a fan of Creed. I like some of Creed's music. So it's not just because he's the lead singer from Creed, but this album, it had some weird things, like the lyrics, everything's like, it's very corny. Songs like When Love Is Not Enough, If This Was Could Talk with Dorothy, it sounded like this country ballad sort of thing. Then you had songs like Dancing in the Rain, which was very bad. So yeah, it's not a good record. I've heard worse, but it's also nothing. I think, yeah, I rather hear him sing Creed songs than this record, because it just didn't do it for me, sadly. So coming in at number 7, this is actually an album that I reviewed on the channel with Señorita Sabrosura. I had never heard of this band. So it's the band Highly Suspect with So Below, As Above and So Below, with that weird looking album cover. And I didn't know what to expect with this band. I listened to it. I saw some reviews saying that it was the greatest thing in the world, but I didn't like the vocals. I didn't like the songs. I just thought that, I don't know, there wasn't anything remarkable that really grabbed my attention with this record. You have songs like Mexico, The Reset, that go on too long and try to be trippy, but they're really not a great and not memorable to me. So that's why I have it at number 7. So moving on to number 6, is a band that gets a lot of comparison to Slipknot, but they're not Slipknot. I call them Discount Slipknot, even though apparently they came before them. So it's the band Mushroom Head. And the album's called Call the Devil, which I also reviewed on Is It That Bad? And I'm sorry, Mushroom Head. The devil's not taking your call, man. He's like, screw this album. It's bad. I'm not taking your call. Do not involve me in this shit. So, yeah, this album, it's pretty uneven. The only thing that I think saved it was the female vocalist, but it wasn't enough to save the record. It tries to be like very new metal, theatrical at times, but it falls short with songs like Prepackaged, uh, Torn Into, but the worst offender, Shame in a Basket. That song was just atrociously bad. Uh, and yeah, I just thought, like I can't take them seriously. And this album, yeah, it's really a very bad album, and not even the woman singing saves it because just such atrocious lyrics all the way through. So I'm sorry, Mushroom Head. The devil called, and he wants you to take this album back. He doesn't want it because it's not good. So yeah, let's continue with our number 5. This one is a doozy. This album, I actually was a recommendation by Chili from Live Listen Erase. He's like, we gotta cover this album on Is It That Bad? Because I think it's one of the worst albums ever. And it's 4 with Ride the Iron Horse. So some background on 4. So this is a band that's been around since the 80s, and he's from Canada, and he's a bodybuilder who turned into music. And uh, yes, with a name like 4, you're like, yeah, that's the name itself is just cheesy. So this album, it's a new album, but it has a lot of like unreleased demos. And I can tell why they were unreleased. They're equally bad. There's only one song on this album that it's bad, but I actually kind of love it because it's so bad it's good, and it's Piece by Piece. And JC Rock and Metal Reviews described this perfectly. This is a song about like you leave a time capsule with some music, and you leave it, and that music in the future, someone like discovers this music and it saves the world. And it's just so atrociously bad and hilarious that it's like those Police Academy movies. They're bad, but they entertain you. So yeah, this is the only song that I thought entertaining. But there's some cheap imitations of the Ramones. The vocals are atrocious, and the production as well. So this is a very laughable album, and that's why I have it at number 5 on this list of my top 10. So yes, we're getting into like the nitty gritty of like the worst of the worst. So coming at number 4, this is another artist that I didn't know until this year, and apparently she does something called bimbo core. Yeah, without and do not be alarmed. It's not a. This is actually the album cover. It's not like a virus from the computer. So yeah, it's called Hot Singles in Your Area by Scene Queen. And this is an album that she tries to tackle some heavy subject matter, but I think she does it in a way that it is an epic fail. I can't stand the tone of her voice. It's just too gimmicky for me, and it's all like bashing men just to bash them. Yeah, the song 18 plus, it's talking about people in the scene that obviously get with underage girls, which is obviously not cool. But the way she sings is like, get those children off my desk. And plus, it's just so atrocious. So I rather listen to Poppy than listen to Sing Queen, honestly. And there's then the other thing with this album is like she says that she wants to empower, but she has songs like Mutual Masturbation, Girls Gone Wild, MILF. So she a finger, so she kind of like, I don't know, it's very explicit and just not good at all. There's nothing about this album that I found redeeming. So very annoying album. That's why I have it at my number 4. So coming up at number 3, it's a band that is so headstrong. They're ready to take off anyone. Yes, that's right, Couchers. Trapped is back. I know you're excited. So yeah, the new album is called The Fall. And this is an album that I actually tagged the band where I covered them on Is It That Bad? I just wanted them to know that I think this album, first of all, sometimes the singer sounds like he's off key. And this is a guy that he seems so tough, but he writes the corniest love songs ever. There's songs here like meant to be think of you, like when I think of you, I don't think about myself. Like, barf, atrocious. So yeah. And then there's songs like I want to be tough, I'm bulletproof, nothing can hurt me. But then he's bitching and complaining on every social media about like no one gives Trap a chance. So yeah, it's just very bad. And not only bad, it's bland. This is a super bland generic record that's why I have it at number 3. So at number 2, it's a band that the lead singer is very controversial in nature and kind of a douchebag. And yeah, he's always, doing stuff that doesn't help the cause. So I'm talking about someone that everybody knows, and his name is Ronnie Radke. We all know that he's gotten in a lot of beef in the end. And the new album, it's no exception. And I say new album, but a lot of these tracks were released ahead of time. So it's kind of weird. So here's the cover. And not only the cover, I have the Walmart exclusive. It's got a 10 by 10 poster inside. Ooh, yay. Who doesn't want a poster of Ronnie Radke's mugshot? So yeah, this album by Falling in Reverse, it's very bad. It's first of all, let's talk about that awful cover of Last Resort by Papa Roach, where he basically takes all the fun out of that track. It's horrible. And then you have songs like All My Life featuring Jelly Roll. So bad. And voices in my head. I like the bad guy, the abuse that this album has with autotune is like, I'm the bad guy, you're the bad guy. It's just atrocious. And Watch the World Burn. He says like, I'm not a rapper, but I'm trying to do rap in all of my songs. It's like laughable at best. So if anyone comment down below has the Walmart version, tell me, what does the poster look like? Is it the whole mugshot? Is he like sleeping in jail or in prison? Just let me know. I'm curious, but I'm not going to buy it, obviously. So finally, without further ado, we come to the worst album of the year, in my opinion. And it's all about the dude's faith, his family, his freedom. So yes, it's Skillet with Revolution. So John Cooper, I know you were complaining online that a lot of people don't talk about Skillet online, but I'm talking about you. Obviously, this is not the list that you want to land on. Yes, you're the worst album of the year, in my opinion. So what is bad about this album? Let's recap. What is good about this album? The answer is absolutely nothing. There's no good track on this record. It's just bland, generic music. And I have nothing against Christians. And it's not because they're a Christian band. It's just because they write atrocious music. Like, for example, the song Unpopular. He's bitching and complaining about like he's so unpopular and he doesn't care, but you do care, man. That's why you're bitching and complaining online all the time. But the song All That Matters and the music video has to be one of the worst songs ever. It's just so cliche, the lyrics and everything. And that other song, Happy Wedding Day, that's the song that you play in your wedding if you want to head straight to divorce court. Just atrocious. no good music. The playing is really bland and generic. It almost sounds like every song has the same structure. So that's why I have it as my number one, the worst album of the year, in my opinion. So I want to know from you, Couchers, what are your worst albums of the year? Comment down below. If I missed some albums this year that I didn't cover, let me know. And perhaps we can cover them next year for the Is It That Bad series. So coming up next, we have more lists, probably the Spotify Wrap, and my top 25 albums of the year. We shall divide in 5 videos. And the top 5 albums of the year will be the final video of the year with Señorita Sabrosura. So until next time, Couchers, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.